What's going on, good people? This is Marcus, your host and moderator of the No Hesi Hoopcast. Man, we are in the building and we are super excited to talk nothing but hoops today, man. So, without further ado, we have Black Moses right above here, and we have Leak here, fellas. How you doing?
Man,
Black, you go first.
I know I could go first. No, man, I feel blessed. Blessed to be partnering with y'all, man. We lost a few weeks, but a lot of hoop has happened, man. So I'm excited to get into that with y'all.
Absolutely, Leak. How you doing, boy?
Man, everything's going well. I'm glad to be back on the show with y'all, giving the people what they want, as Jalen Rose says. There's a lot of hoops to talk about. Man, we was cracking up before we went live, y'all. So hopefully some of that could transfer over because we was getting weak, man. So it's good to be back, man. It's good to be back.
Man, absolutely. It's always a good time. Man, I'm good, Leak. I'm good, man. I'm glad to be on with you guys. It's always a good time, man.
Yes, it's Black.
I know I'm gonna be cheesing, man. So I look forward to it.
I had to ask you because Black don't care. You know what I mean? So I had to ask you, you know?
Yes, sir. So, man, without further ado, we have to get into the second round. Like Black said, we lost a couple weeks, so we just want to do a recap. I'm going to get you guys' take on the second round. Predominantly the teams that got booted. You know what I mean? Let's really reflect on them and talk about what that means for them. Black, we're going to start with you, man. What was your take on some of these second round series?
Man, well, first and foremost, man, let's start where I think everybody wants us to start. The Brooklyn Nets. Mm-hmm. Now, I think we could go back to the last ep that we posted up where I said that the Bucks were winning 7 games, and y'all brothers laughed at me. Okay, not just y'all two brothers, but the No Hesi community. They laughed at me, and look at me now. Okay, look at me now. Now, that being said, all right, I didn't want for somebody to get hurt. All right, Kyrie hurt his ankle. What was that? Game 2?
Yeah. 2 or 3.
Turned his ankle in game 2.
Hold on. Did he turn his ankle or did somebody come and step under him?
No, he landed on the big freak's big foot, man.
He landed on it, or did the freak come up under his space?
And the freak can't control that size 18, man. He was going for the rebound, all right? That's besides the point. Hey, Lee, you interrupted my take.
All right.
All right, Kyrie got hurt. It was unfortunate, but it happened. All right. And the Nets still weren't out. They put on, a heck of a fight. They took it to 7 games on the back of KD. KD doing what Bron couldn't do for his team. That's besides the point. They took it to game 7, and Giannis showed up, and Chris Middleton showed up, and they were able to close this thing out. Almost lost thanks to Brook Lopez, but they moved on to the next round. So, I wanted to start. I wanted to start with them. Lee, what were your thoughts on this series, man?
Man, I mean, first of all, I just want to go over this play because this was egregious to me, and I couldn't believe that the NBA let this slide and not attacking Giannis's character for this move. No, nobody does this in the league. Everybody knows if you're a basketball player and a guy goes up for a jump shot or he's landing, you don't come up under where his landing space is. Look at that.
Hey, it looks like he's going for a rebound to me.
Right up under the guy? Right up under the guy?
Kyrie's right up under the hoop.
Nah. All right, so yeah, hey, look, if the injuries didn't happen, that's a whole different series. I'd say that. That's a whole different series.
Absolutely.
The Bucks would have lost.
Before you get into your bloviation, are you saying that the freak is a dirty player? That was Bush League, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'll go on the record to say that. To step on the look, Ramon says Giannis innocent.
Ramon's back?
That's Ramon. That's not even cohesive. That's not even a cohesive statement. Kyrie is frail. All right. I don't disagree with that.
He's got a point.
I don't disagree with that. Now,
hey, and you don't step on Lucky's face either.
Now I'll say that, yeah. That does kind of that right there kind of makes it go full circle when you look at that scenario right there with him stepping on Lucky. But like I was saying, if the injuries don't happen to the Nets, that's a totally different series. So you calling that, Black, is pretty wild and very interesting, because the only way that would have happened was through these injuries. It's almost like you knew it was going to happen or something. But I wouldn't put that on you. I wouldn't put a butch narrative on you, right? You know what I mean? A butch narrative. But yeah, I think that Giannis handled his business. He ended up I like how we saw a clip recently where Giannis was saying how he's seen it all. He's been embarrassed at the free throw line. He's been dunked on. He's been crossed over. And in that series, I feel like he did embrace all those faults that he had and just decided to do what he knew was his strength, which is drive to the basket. He still didn't want the smoke with KD, which I wanted to see. He did not want to guard KD whatsoever. He remembers in game 1 when KD hit him with that double crossover on the sideline, and he never tried to guard him since. So I didn't like that, but the Bucks, they handled their business as they should have after the injuries happened. And even with that, KD still almost won the series. And Black, I'm sure you want to touch on that, on how that ended up going down as far as the last shot that he took or the shots leading up to that. But I thought KD was an excellent offensive threat, and I thought that he gave his all, and he literally ran out of gas, which I have no problem with. When you give it your all and you push hard like that, remember he's coming back from an injury. He's first season back after that Achilles injury, so he maxed himself out, and I have no problem with the way that last shot came up short.
Leak, I just want to add real quick. I resent the fact that you think I would want to speak on KD's shortcoming in that last play. I think KD, after viewing this series, it is confirmed KD is the best player in the NBA. I will not allow any slander towards Kevin Durant from here forth. I just want that to be known.
I'll let that pass for now. Yeah.
All right, guys. I want to definitely get.
Go ahead, Black. Fellas. Before we move on, do you think the big three stay together in Brooklyn?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Run it back.
Yeah.
So I gotta move to this one, fellas. What's your take on Atlanta versus Philly? Black, let's start with you on that one.
Man,
Ben Simmons is the worst player in the NBA. No, in all seriousness though, man. I mean, have we ever seen a monumental fall like this?
Look at this.
Have you guys seen a monumental fall from grace like this? I mean, just last season, man, I was very high on this guy. I thought this guy's potential was sky high, man. And I said, forget, he doesn't need to be able to shoot, man. He does so many other things that shooting is just a minute fault in his game. And we see now that fault has grown. It has grown into such a problem to where now we're talking about packaging Ben Simmons to send him to the Shanghai Sharks. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm with it.
Man, I just can't believe that he saw Trae Young and got shook. That's what all that was about.
Yeah.
He saw Trae Young and decided to pass the ball. He saw Big Treyway approaching the approach. Look, he saw Big Treyway approaching the paint and decided that he didn't want no parts of that. And then put Thibault in a extremely difficult situation. Like Thibault lightweight got jumped. You know what I mean?
Right.
two Hawks came and jumped that man. You know what I mean? So hey, Ben Simmons. It's so funny because he's played this fake confident game a lot
Yeah.
the last couple of years. Like they'll ask him questions and he'll kind of do little things like say things where it's like, what do you think? But like he's MJ or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's got that whole Bron demeanor. You know what I mean? From the jump when he came in the league, he kind of had that, and it was none of it was warranted. The guy's never shot. I can't believe it. He's never shot. I mean, when we look back at all these seasons that he's played, he's never shot the ball. Hey, look, you know what? I'm not even mad at Ben Simmons. What were we all thinking, right? This guy literally never shot the ball. Why were we exalting this man, putting him up on these pedestals? Yeah, the assists are great. The defense is great. The size for the position is excellent. You know what I mean? Like all these things are there to drool over, but he never shot the ball. And like no perimeter player, no point guard, he's a power forward masquerading as a primary ball handler. You know what I mean?
Right. Look, not to cut you off, man. We got to stop doing this as a league. Right. We have to stop taking guys that have, great skills for their size and make them a point guard. Like that must stop. If you can't shoot, if you don't have a jump shot, and you can't make free throws, you lightweight can't be my primary ball handler.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Would you make an exception for Lonzo? I'm curious on that.
Well, Lonzo has improved his jump shot.
Right.
Now I have no problem kicking out to Lonzo from the corner three.
Okay. All right.
I'm not doing that to Ben Simmons, and I'm not doing that to Giannis Antetokounmpo either. All
right. So I thought that Ben Simmons decided the series, right? It went the whole way. It went to 7, right? It went to game 7, and Ben Simmons attempted 4 shots in that game, and I believe he attempted like 6 shots over 6 fourth quarters. So I mean, it came down 4 shots. Yeah, it came down to him, and it was despicable to see. But yeah, go ahead. You want to go ahead and touch on that, Mark?
I'm just utterly disgusted by this guy. I mean, even guys. 4-time or 3-time All-Star. He's made an All-Star game every year except his rookie year.
Right.
For 14-8. When did 8-8 become Magic Johnson? Like even that isn't even that good. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've been extremely frustrated with this guy since he got into the league. I think he looks the part. The physical look is there, and I think we got caught up in that. You know what I mean? And I'm just glad that he showed his true colors.
Right.
And that spin move, me and Black were actually watching this live. We didn't know how big that spin move was when it happened. But, I mean, this thing has been played all over social media. I mean, it was unbelievable, man.
The spin, right? The spin.
So, man.
Fellas, I also want to get your take. We praised Doc Rivers at the end of the season for what he's been able to do for Philly, getting them to the number 1 seed. Has your thoughts on Doc changed since the end of the season?
He's the same Doc for me. Go ahead, Lee.
Same Doc for me as well. I have there's like, just like Doc, I've made no adjustment on my narrative.
All right, man.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, we gotta keep the train moving. So I want to get your quick takes on the other series. We got Phoenix versus
Nuggets.
Phoenix versus Nuggets, and then the Utah versus Clippers. Black, let's get your quick takes on those two.
I think it's real easy to slander Jokic in that series. I mean, I think he played as well as one could have played, considering your second best player is out with an injury. I really point out 2 factors. One, seemed like Michael Porter Jr. kind of tapered off towards the end of their playoff run. They asked him to do a whole lot. First series, he showed that he does have that star power. I just think that they asked him to do slightly too much more than he was ready to do. Second part, Aaron Gordon. We're packaging Aaron Gordon and Ben Simmons, and they're going to Shanghai. I've seen enough. Aaron Gordon is going to be a career journeyman from here on. I mean, this guy literally can do nothing more than dunk the basketball and play defense. What is he doing out there?
Look. All right. So quick takes on Denver and Phoenix. So I think that I think Devin Booker played excellent that series. He really showed out. Michael Porter Jr., I think, like Black said, he kind of tapered off. They did ask a lot of him. The reason why is because Jamal Murray was injured. Their primary perimeter scorer, their primary ball handler, their primary playmaker. If they have Jamal Murray, I do think the Nuggets win that series. You can shoot me for that. I really do. I think that the Nuggets are just set up better and have the experience of going through the fire as a team that the Suns didn't have. And now, along with,
you think Jamal Murray is the difference between a 4-0 sweep?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just checking.
Yeah, because you got to look at the role that the part that he plays offensively for them. Not only does he score the ball, but he also creates the scenario where Jokic gets one-on-one coverage, which that right there is pretty much. I mean, that's a. I don't know the analytics, but I'm pretty sure that's a bucket per something possession. That's a crazy number, right? You know what I mean? As far as the assists go, the three ball, the getting to the foul line, the turnaround, the tips in. Jokic was essentially kind of neutralized because they were able to really focus in on him. And DeAndre Ayton is no slouch. He's played up this playoffs. I love the way he's looked and he's played. So I don't want to take anything away from what he's been able to do as well. Jokic said that Ayton plays him tough, and I agree with him on that. But yeah, I do think that Jamal Murray's playing. You'd have got a 50 piece maybe once or twice, maybe a couple 40 balls. You know what I'm saying? And I think that series would have been done in 6. But, if was a 5th, we can't go there.
It's called the finals, not the ifnals, as
Absolutely.
Ramon so eloquently put.
Absolutely. And as far as that, then we also on the Jazz.
Like, come on, man.
The Jazz.
Happy back, Ramon.
Right.
Welcome back. Yeah, it is good to see you back. The Jazz and Clippers series. Man, that was a debacle if I've ever seen one.
Mm-hmm.
The Jazz had the series in their hands several times, especially in Game 7 when they had that 25-point lead, and they allowed the Clippers to come back with Terrence Mann at the head. Man, that was pretty wild. And Paul George, he lifted some load. He carried some load that series. That was good to see when Kawhi was out. But I thought Mike Conley would make a difference. But the Clippers got a lot of firepower. I ain't gonna front. And to come back from down 0-2 2 series in a row, we got to give the Clippers. We really got to give Ty Lewis props because this ain't the first time he's done the whole comeback thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's all I got to say on that.
Man, Rudy Gobert is gonna look real good in the Shanghai Sharks jersey. The Shanghai Sharks are gonna be stacked next year. Y'all, like, I don't know how many times we saw Rudy Gobert get exposed on a closeout.
Right, yeah.
Just giving the smaller guy space from the corner three and allowing them to just knock those down.
Right.
I mean, how many times does that have to happen before you start playing up? And for us to give this man, this is the 3rd Defensive Player of the Year award.
I'm over that. Yeah,
and he can't. If it's not in the paint, he can't defend it. I just don't understand this. Shaq was right. Rudy Gobert is overpaid. I was fighting on behalf of Rudy Gobert 2 episodes ago. talking about how everybody's disrespecting that man and how he's so good on defense that he's worth that contract. Well, I was wrong. I'm eating chum right here on No Hesi. Rudy Gobert lost that series for the Utah Jazz.
Whew, got some hot takes from the fellas, man. These brothers is on fire.
Carry on.
And I'll go as far to say Rudy Gobert didn't lose that series. Quinn Snyder lost that series. Yeah. Why wouldn't you make an adjustment? Rudy Gobert, you could play clown music to the way he was closing out on those 3-point shots. Yeah. Right. So yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a bad series for Utah, man. So we'll see what they got for us next year. But moving right along, fellas, let's go to what happens so often around this time of year, man. Coaches getting bodied. I'm gonna get your thoughts on just the coaches that left and what that means for them and those teams going forward. Black, we'll start with you, man.
Man, first one I want to point out was a very quick turnaround for him. Stan Van Gundy, man. I mean, he went out in a very ill fashion in Detroit. He had GM and head coaching duties. They let him go from that. Then they brought him back out from the depths of hoop hell to come and coach a very young, a very fiery, very athletic squad in the Pels. I think we all thought that the Pels were good enough to make at least an A seed this year. They I want to say they finished 10 or 11.
Yeah, they were outside. Yeah. They were outside
the play-in, right?
Yeah.
So that's a failure, right? You got Zion Williamson, who is one of the top players under 25. You got you're running. You got Lonzo Ball playing off ball when his strength is to play with the ball in his hands. You got Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson essentially running point forward positions. And you got Steven Adams just kind of, standing in the key, clogging up space. Mm-hmm. It just seemed like they didn't really have a system in place. It seemed like he was a little in over his head. And I wouldn't be surprised if the brother doesn't get another head coaching job in the NBA.
I have to agree with that one. Malik, what you think, man? What was the biggest move for you?
I think the firing of Terry Stotts. I mean, Stan Van Gundy, that was crazy after one season. I ain't gonna lie. That was pretty wild, especially and we realized that David Griffin is all cap, right? Yeah. David Griffin, he loves to word things in a very eloquent way, but it's all cap though. All right. So that's good to know now, finally, right? And then Terry Stotts, that was pretty wild. I mean, he should have been gone, honestly, if you ask me. He should have been gone. He's been there too long. And Dame put up with him for longer than he should have, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really high profile firing because the implications are still reverberating and will probably continue to reverberate until the start of the season once we see what Dame decides to do. According to the media narrative, Dame has all the power as far as where he wants to go. They're making it seem like the guy's a free agent.
Right. Like the guy is assigned to a $55 million contract this year.
that guy is locked into Neil O'Shea's pocket, right? You know what I mean? Like directly. But yeah, a lot of the fan base, Ramon says, a lot of the fan base turned on Dame, and that's because Dame asked for Jason Kidd and Chauncey Billups. And I think a lot of the fan base now, they're in their liberal bag, and they're saying, why are you asking for these guys who had these allegations pushed on them? And then Kidd, I think Kidd was charged, I think, even for putting his hands on his wife, possibly, but allegedly. But yeah. So now they're mad at Dame for one of those guys and co-signing that, thinking that he's supportive of that behavior, which is ridiculous, right? Like what? So,
I like to add that that fan base is predominantly white, but that's besides the point.
Absolutely. Aside from Dame's family, most of the fan base is white. So yeah, I thought that fire was pretty high profile. Also, the Carlisle joint.
Yeah.
I like Carlisle as a coach, and I don't think he did nothing wrong. But Carlisle is lightweight on some like, hey, like Carlisle's like on some Magic Johnson. He's like, hey, you mean to tell me I can't do my job the way I want to do it? Well, then, hey, it looked like it's time for me to go somewhere else. You know what I mean? And so, I applaud Carlisle for being bigger than a coach, being bigger than a coach who coaches a handler, right? He's like, I'm not just a handler. Like my career isn't defined off this Luka guy. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I could go anywhere and do my thing. I've won a championship already. So of course you need a great player to do that. But I appreciate Carlisle standing on his chip rock, right? Standing on that chip position and saying, you know, you're not gonna have me swing every which way for this kid. I'm gonna make the moves that I think are fit, and I'm not gonna base my coaching style and all that things around. Carlisle's catered to Luka enough, right? You know what I mean? So I like him picking up a job just like that. He said that in the letter that he was looking forward to his other coaching opportunities, and he got one in the state of Indiana, where I think him and his wife, I think they love that area. They're kind of tied to that area. I think he used to
coach out there, didn't he?
Yeah.
So that was pretty high profile too. But yeah, so those are the ones that I'm kind of looking at. What about you, Mark?
I think the Carlisle one stood out the most for me. The fact that he pretty much it wasn't a amicable divorce or nothing. He just said, "Hey, I'm out," and I got mad respect for that. And it kind of shines a light on Luka to me. It's like, all right, you are highly skilled. You may be one of the top 3 or 5 players in the league, but hey, the clock's ticking on you, brother, because nobody really wants to seem like his teammates don't work well with him. So I think that move said a lot about what's going on in Dallas. But now let's move to some of the new coaches that have been slid into these positions, i.e. Jason Kidd in Dallas and others, with a highlight on their pigmentation. Brothers are getting coaching gigs, and I want to get y'all's take on this, man. I always love y'all's take on sports and race relations anyway. So let's go there. Black man, let's start with you. What do you think about the renaissance of brothers in coaching positions?
Well, you know, I mean, if you watch like First Take, let's say, for example, you'll often see Stephen A. bloviate when it comes to coach hirings and coach firings, and he'll always mention how, you know, if that was a black coach, he would have been gone seasons ago. So it seems as though there's been enough of that pushback, right? That media pushback, that player pushback to the league, to where they've made a concerted effort, it seems, to interview and hire more black coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I mean, I think that something like that is positive. But I was just interested. Hold on now. Let's watch those links now.
I know, right?
No, I'm just interested to kind of get that discussion going, as far as you know, what you guys, whether or not you guys think that is the case, one, and then two, you know, how do you guys feel about the brothers that have been in the talks for these coaching jobs?
Lee, I'll let you answer, man.
You know what? I think the Jason Kidd hire is really good, being that he was you know, he won a championship there with Dirk, with Carlisle. You know, Jason Kidd to me is he's an asset on any bench. You know what I'm saying, that he goes to, especially if you got a player that's a high profile primary ball handler, right? You know what I mean? The things that kid can kind of give to him and instill in him or her would be incredible. So I think that's a great hire. Also Chauncey Billups, I mean, that's a good hire. It's Chauncey's first time out. He's definitely deserving of a head coaching role. He's been on that bench with the Clippers. We've even seen him on ESPN as an analyst, doing an amazing job. So I definitely think it's well-deserved. He's very level-headed. He was a coach on the floor, right? He won a championship himself. and with players that didn't necessarily have the sexiness, so to speak, that we like to see from championship teams. So I really think that was a good choice. I am. I'm not. I think Chauncey should have consulted with Dame first, though, because it don't seem like Dame is going to be there for much longer, man. And like I said, the guy's not a free agent, so the media is making the narrative as if this guy's choosing his destination. He's got the Lakers, he's got the Heat, he's got the Knicks on his radar. You know what I mean? But I definitely think that pairing would be nice, but it's a little too late. This probably should have been done 2 seasons ago. Now, Nate McMillan killing it. It's a shame he had to usurp another brother, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
And Lloyd Pierce. Also, I don't know much about the new Boston coach, Udoku. So if any of you have information on that, or anybody in the chat,
he's assistant or he's associate coach on the Nets. But yes, yeah, Mark, you're right. He comes from the Pop tree. He was sitting next to Pop for like 2 or 3 seasons prior to getting the Nets gig.
Right.
So
right.
He's definitely, and he played for the Spurs as well. Played for the Spurs, played for the Kings.
Yeah.
So he's also an ex-player.
Right.
I think out of all of these coaches, him and Kidd probably got the most experience. Aside from Nate McMillan, obviously.
Right.
But I definitely think that hire, I like that hire a lot as far as him coaching a talented young team and giving them some type of structure.
In Boston too. That's interesting, right? I mean,
Boston was not gonna hire a black coach. Let's keep it a buck. After the stink that Kyrie raised, I think Boston had it set in their mind to bring in a black coach. For sure.
I also think Nate McMillan is going to be a hot free agent after this season, because right now he's got the interim tag. He's led the Hawks to the Eastern Conference Finals, which who would have thought, especially how they started the season off. Ever since he took over, they kind of became like an underdog powerhouse, so to speak. So and automatically I'm thinking, oh, he's going to stay with the Hawks. The Hawks are going to offer him a deal, but not so fast. Right, this guy has all the leverage now.
Right.
So he could be looking at all his situations, all his options. He could take the Bucks job from Budenholzer, probably. You know what I mean? He could also go to the Pelicans. He's got options.
The Pelicans have also been looking at another black coach, Jacques Vaughn, who's an ex-player as well.
Absolutely,
I believe he played with the Spurs as well.
Yeah, Jacques Vaughn was a journeyman. He's been moved around. I remember him from his Kansas days. He was on. I think he played a little bit with Paul Pierce during their classes as they crossed paths at Kansas. But I like Jacques Vaughn too. But I think Jacques Vaughn had a little coaching stint with the Brooklyn Nets too for a little bit. When they fired Kenny Atkinson, who also is a good coach, and he should be in the mix for some situation or scenario at some point too. Granted, he's not black. Right? Kenny Atkinson is not a black man, okay? I repeat, Kenny Atkinson is not a black man. But he is deserving of a head coach. All right.
Well, that brings up an interesting point.
Isn't that a narrative flip, right?
Well, that brings up an interesting point, which is why I wanted to kind of bring this discussion into play. I mean, first and foremost, I'll say, if you're a black coach and you're not being considered for one of these jobs, that says more about you than it does about
you have to put yourself in position, right? You know what I mean?
But and also Washington, they lost their head coach as well. They'll be looking for a coach. Most likely a black coach, right? Right. But that being said, lead to the narrative flip that you created.
Right.
If you're a white coach. Right. At what point do you begin to raise a stink, right? Because their opportunity, you may be more qualified,
right?
You may have
but you're not
more
black,
success,
right? But you're not black.
But you're not black. At what point do you start to see that pushback?
Right? Because
that push black.
Yeah, because like the roles have reversed almost, right? You know what I mean? It's like I'm highly qualified. I can do the job. I connect with the players, but I'm not white, so I can't get the job. Right? I'm a black man. Now, the roles been reversed. I connect with the players. I've had success in this league. But I'm not a black man. I'm a white man, and I can't seem to find a job. You know what I mean? So this is an interesting narrative flip or blip as we've been substituting some BLs in there, but yeah, that's interesting. So but I think it will sort itself out. I think it will definitely shake itself out as far as who's qualified, who's not. Listen, if a black man gets any of those jobs and he's not qualified or he's not capitalized on the opportunity, trust and believe that man will be gone in the middle of the season, just like Lloyd Pierce. All right. They did not hesitate to axe Lloyd Pierce in the middle of the season. All right. So that lets you know a black man can get axed right away before the All-Star break. All right. So David Griffin set the tone by axing Van Gundy after one season, right? So I think now these organizations are like, hey, you know what I mean? We'll get you out of here as soon as possible, especially if you're black. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, the leash is definitely a little shorter with us, right? But fellas, man, we're moving right along now to another black man. We talking Scottie Pippen. Man, we had a good time talking about Scottie Pippen off air. But fellas, I want to get your thoughts on what he's in the news for now. One, we know he had the Twitter beef with KD a couple of days ago. He's dropping his new bourbon, but he recently was on the Dan Patrick show, and man, he has a unique way of dropping huge bombs without really much emotion. I want to get y'all's take on Scottie, man. Black, what you think? I guess we could play this leak, or
yeah, we can play that.
Leak, before you play that, man, first I want to highlight his cut and the fact that he looks like Black Einstein.
Scottie Pippen has definitely looked like he's been going through some things. I see him as kind of looking like let me see if I can share my screen real quick, because we just got it going on Scottie just a little bit prior to this is what Scottie's on right now, right? That's the type of tip he's on, right? You know what I mean? So Scottie's this is what Scottie's looking like a hoop scientist right now, right? A stressed out hoop scientist.
He's like a hoop conspiracy theorist.
He looked like hoop Doc from Back to the Black Set Out, Hoop to the Future, right? Scottie's been going through it, but this is Scottie looks like he's on the brink of a hoop conspiracy, right?
Right.
Look, this right here is the tipping point, though. He went on Dan Patrick show, and essentially called Phil Jackson a racist, right? Out of nowhere. Nobody speculated these things before, or at least openly, and Scottie Pippen's never alluded to these things. He's actually sang Phil Jackson's praises most of his retirement until today on the Dan Patrick show, and I'll play this clip.
Because by saying a racial move, then you're calling Phil a racist.
I don't got a problem with that.
You think Phil was or is?
Oh, yeah. I mean, do you remember Phil Jackson left the Lakers, wrote a book on Kobe Bryant, and then came back and coached him? I mean, who would do that? You name someone in professional sports that would do that.
Like, look at Scottie Pippen now compared to him back then.
Man.
Now I'll say this. There's much more to that, so you guys can obviously go watch the Dan Patrick show. I believe the segment is like 18 minutes or something, but
yeah,
Scottie Pippen is off his rocker right now, and he came for KD, and KD gave him a spoonful of mama's cooking. All right, he told that man, "Aren't you the guy who refused to go into the game in a playoff scenario with the last shot on the line because you didn't get because the shot wasn't drawn up for you?" So, aside from that, his Larsa being kind of making her rounds, on this guy's dime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Scotty's just in a bad position right now. I guess he was trying to defend LeBron with the whole KD thing, but it kind of backfired on him. You know what I mean? Hey, Cat's these Bronamites got to really chill, right? You know what I mean? You mess around and get into a situation that's real sticky, real quick, trying to defend Bron, because a lot of cats ain't having that these days. You know what I mean? Like they're here for calling out Bron's actual legacy. You know what I mean? And not this revisionist version of it that that people seem to be clinging to. But yeah, that was pretty interesting. Black, what do you think about that?
Man, I think it's interesting that after the Last Dance documentary came out and really kind of like shed light on what type of not player but man Scottie Pippen was off court, I think he felt a certain type of way about that. He felt like Jordan was kind of putting his business out there. He felt like other teammates and Phil Jackson were kind of co-signing that. So I think this is his retaliation. And now basically he wants to control his own narrative, right? So he's got a new book coming out, and he's been making his runs on media. And in addition to that, in order to sell this book, in order to sell his narrative, now he has to create some chaos so that we're talking about Scottie Pippen.
Right.
Because the only times that we're talking about Scottie Pippen in today's times are when we see his wife with another young athlete, right?
And or rapper.
So I think that's where we're at right now. Now, that being said, Scottie, fact, Scottie is Kwame with an elite a catalog. You know what I'm saying?
Right. He's Kwame with a better track record, right?
No, but that being said, though, I do want to clarify that we're talking about Scottie off court. I see a lot of narratives out there slandering Scottie on court. Scottie is a 6-time champion. All right. He's a Hall of Famer. He was an elite 2-way player.
Right.
He would guard the best. Everybody wants to talk about how Jordan would guard the best guy on the other. Scottie Pippen would guard the best guy on the other side. All right. He had great dimensions out there on the floor, big hands.
Right.
He's kind of the preset for your Andre Iguodala's, your Kwame, or your Kawhis, even your Brons, so to speak. Right. He was a point forward, right?
Absolutely.
So what we're not going to do is we're not going to slander Scottie Pippen on court. and for those media outlets out there that are doing that, this is why you're not no Hesi, because you guys start to get disrespectful when it comes to your narratives. But what we're talking about is Scottie off court, and if you ask me, he's a little out of line.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I tend to agree with you guys on this one, man. Scottie moves the needle in his own little way. So we're going to be definitely keeping an eye on Scott and what he has going forward.
Yo, Mark, that was your favorite player, wasn't it?
I used to love me some Scottie, man, because I think he was an elite number 2. I mean, it was if going on the superhero model. If Jordan was Superman, he was Batman. He was right there. Right. And so, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate to see him in the news for this stuff. But, hey, man, it's Scottie, man. What can we say? So let's move right along, fellas, to the current series that we're seeing. We got the Suns-Clippers tied at 3, or not tied. Suns-Clippers at 3-1. And we have the Bucks and the Hawks at 2-1. So I want to get your take on both series. Leek, we'll start with you on this one, man. What do you think about the conference finals thus far?
Yeah, I've been liking the Clippers and Suns matchup.
Yeah,
it does suck that Kawhi is not available to compete in that So that just changed the dynamics of the series. Paul George, he's been playing good in spurts. He has been having free throw debacles and critical moments. It almost looks like the what do they call that? The yips, so to speak.
Yeah.
Once he gets to the line in those clutch spots, and he's an excellent free throw shooter. I'm not sure what he is for his career, but I'm sure it's in the high 80s, if not maybe touching the 90 percentile. So he's an excellent free throw shooter, a beautiful stroke, beautiful form, but mentally it just seems like he knows that this is too big of a task for them. Obviously, he's the leader at this point since Kawhi is out. He was probably always the leader without knowing that, because Kawhi is not a vocal leader and Paul George is the next best player, and Paul George likes to cap as if he's the leader. So I think that he's kind of been Foxley leading this team the whole time, which is probably why they've been underperforming, actually, now that we think about it. But Chris Paul came back. Floor general campaign's been playing excellent. DeAndre Ayton has been playing off the hook. He's taken another step up from the Lakers series to the Nuggets series, and now to this series. It's been a constant level up. So I really like that. So yeah, I think that one is pretty much written. It'll probably be decided tonight when the Suns take on the Clippers. They're probably going to end that series. I think Shannon said it best. He said, "I turned the crock pot on and I left the house. Now the food's not done yet, but when I get back home, it will be finished." He said it ain't done right now. Obviously, it's still cooking, but when I get back home, the food will be done. All right. So yeah, and then on the other side, the Hawks and Bucks series, man.
Hold on, Lee.
Yeah.
Before you get into that, let me touch on this series, and then we'll get into that.
Yeah.
I think that if Kawhi Leonard was playing, the Suns would be in big trouble
because
they haven't looked great. Let's be honest. After D-Book got his nose broke, he hasn't been shooting the same as he was shooting prior to that.
Right.
CP, though he's been a great floor general, he hasn't been shooting well. Pretty much Ayton's been kind of carrying the load in this series. If it wasn't for some monumental mishaps, the series could be tied 2-2 right now, and that's without Kawhi.
Right.
Shout out to Reggie. For some reason, Reggie Jackson is hooping like he took a compound V or something like that, right? He looks like A-Train from the boys out there.
Right.
He's knocking down shots.
He looks like he got his badges up.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. He's playing up. I think the role guys are playing up. And, let's face it, as much as we want to hate on Paul George and call him, Pandemic P, he's been playing extremely well.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us saw this coming from Paul George.
I'll say in spurts, because he's had moments where he looked really good and some moments where he just looked like it just ain't happening for him. So
which is why I say that they need Kawhi Leonard, because he's that model of consistency that will help this team get to the championship and possibly win.
Yeah.
I feel like the Suns pretty much falling up into the finals, and I think they might run into problems this next series, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, and when you look at the injuries to the Lakers, which the Suns beat in the first round, the Nuggets with Jamal Murray being out and Barton being out for half that series, and then now you look at Kawhi not being available for the Clippers series, you see how that path to the finals has been laid out for them, dude. And it almost reminds me of the Warriors' first championship when Chris Paul was out not Chris Paul was out. Pat Bev was out on the Rockets, so Steph had no Pat Bev guarding him. Mike Conley was out on the Grizzlies, so Steph didn't have to go against Mike Conley. And then Kyrie Irving was out after game 1 of the finals, so he didn't have to go against Kyrie. So it reminds me of that. It's almost like the injuries laid out the path for this team. But yeah. And as far as the other series, the Bucks and the Hawks, I would love for the Hawks to win this series. I would
Me
love.
too, man.
There's nothing I would love more right now than to see Trae Young. And I see your face, Black. I'm wishfully thinking. All right, I haven't gotten to the actual take yet. All right, I would love to see Trae Young shimmy and put Giannis out of his misery. The league has been hyping up Giannis as if this dude is some extremely elite player all around, when all he does is drive to the basket, do a Greek Euro, right, and finish over whoever is at the bottom with a stiff arm and a layup. All right, I'm not feeling it. I think he's being carried by his teammates as well. The shooting, the playmaking, the defense on the string, the coaching. Giannis literally has the best setup in the NBA as far as a quote unquote superstar. And I don't even think he's a superstar. I think Giannis is
Not yet.
He's a perennial all-star who's been propped up as some LeBron substitute. And I'm not here for it. He has no jump shot, he has no wiggle moves, he has no perimeter skills. All right, he has no mid-range, he has no back to the basket game. All right. He's about to kill Boldenholzer, right? So he'll have that to his resume. All right, he got his brother on his team, all right? Like what? Like who is this guy? You know what I mean? Like Nike gave him a shoe. Nike gave him a shoe. He's got the ugliest signature shoe on the market right now.
The backwards Nike symbol.
And that check is huge, right?
Yeah, literally.
It's like a sock with a check on it and a sole.
Right. Hey, look, if you're talking about checks, you might want to talk about that one that he cashes every month. All right.
Look, and Skip says, wow, MVP and All-Star. James Harden should have those MVPs.
Hey, look, see, this is where I'm gonna have to cut in because I don't understand the Giannis slander. The guy
I just went over it. He can't shoot. He has no wiggles. He has no mid-range game. He has an ugly signature shoe. He's an offensive foul away from being ejected from every game he plays in.
listen, man.
He undercutted Kyrie Irving on his layup.
Giannis, all right. Giannis is a father to his son. He's a husband to his wife. He's a brother. He's a son. He's a great family man. He doesn't have a lot of off the court noise.
Listen.
I don't know why. I don't know what it is about Giannis that we hate so much. All right. I don't know what it is.
They have Malcolm Brogdon.
Malcolm Brogdon. You're gonna let me get my take.
No,
you're gonna let me get my take.
I'm hating on Giannis right now.
Listen, Giannis, because we're in the modern NBA where guys look like KD and can hoop like Steph, we think that every guy that's 7 feet tall has to have a knockdown jump shot and has to have immaculate footwork and has to be able to handle the ball like Kyrie Irving. That's just not true. 20 years ago, Giannis would beat a unicorn, but now all of a sudden, because Giannis can't pull up from three like Dame, he's terrible. I'm not here for that. If you want to compare Giannis to anyone, you got to compare him to, and the person who he's compared to even says this is true. He's the new Shaquille O'Neal. He's the new Shaq. All right? He's dominant. It's not about skills with him. It's about him getting to the hole and getting what he wants. And he makes that happen on a regular basis at a very high clip. All right? It just so happens that the rest of his team hadn't showed up until now. But now Chris Middleton is playing up. Now he has Drew Holiday, who can help him defend on the perimeter. Now Coach Budenholzer is getting more out of these other guys. All Greek Freak has to do is what he's been doing. They played off of him because he didn't have nobody else that was a threat. Now that he has these threats, the brother's averaging like 30 points this year in the playoffs. So we got to stop. Yes, can he shoot better at the free throw line? Of course. Of course he can. But that doesn't mean that he's not playing like an absolute star for his team right now. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fall all the way back on this Giannis slander, and we're gonna call this series what it is. It's over.
Look, I'm not saying Giannis. I'm not saying Giannis isn't an all-star, right? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's not a good player. All right. I'm not saying he's not a great attacker of the basket, right? I'm not saying these things. I'm pointing out the things that he doesn't do well. And for the NBA to be hyping this guy up like this, I have no clue why they're doing. I have no clue why he's in the same conversation as LeBron James. I got no clue. Why he's in the
zero
same
personality.
He's got nothing compared to them. He shouldn't even be. The only reason why they let this man handle the ball is because when he gets downhill, he's unstoppable. That's the only reason why.
Hey, I know why you guys don't like Giannis. I know why. Because he's not American. And you guys are sounding a lot like Donald Trump right now. Because he's not American, you guys don't want to root for him. And that's fine. But I'm not a bigot. All right. That being said, this series is over. I'm tired of the Trae Young antics. All right. I'm tired of the shimmies. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of pulling up like he's Dame. His 3-point percentage is awful, but he keeps shooting it. And everybody keeps telling me he's the new Steph. I just don't see it. All right. He's played up. He's balled out. He's played immaculate up until this point, but it's over for him. And just accept it. All right. It's fine. We don't have to diss Giannis because we wanted to see Trae Young keep going. It's over for them. All right. And let's put it this way. They overachieved.
Listen, I do agree that the series is over. All right. I do agree with that. Like I was saying, I wanted nothing more than for the Hawks to win the series. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. All right. The Bucks have their number. Giannis is locked in. All right. Middleton is locked in. Holiday's chasing Young around like a alley cat with a like an alley cat on a New York strip looking for a rat to play with. All right. So this the series is over. With that being said,
I just not hear about Ice Tray.
Huh?
I can't wait to not hear about Ice Tray anymore.
Fellas,
that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
While we're there, let's transition because it kind of goes with what we're talking about now. So I'm hearing a consensus of Suns versus the Bucks. Right. Let's talk about it, fellas.
Right.
What do we see for the finals there? If we have the Suns going against the Bucks, what are your thoughts on finals projections? Black, we'll start with you.
Man, you started with Black for every segment, Mark, and I'm over it. I'm tired of it.
Let's go, Lee. You go ahead.
Listen, allow me to bloviate first.
This is my show.
Hey, look. The Bucks and the Suns. You know what? I want to say that the Suns will. I want the first thing that comes to mind is Giannis putting Jay Crowder in the torture chamber. All right. But now I think about it, the Suns have been playing good defense this series against the Clippers. I love seeing the ball and the string movement from that defense and the cohesiveness. I think that if Devin Booker is playing at an extremely high level, the series can be competitive. If not, then the Bucks do win this. I do have the Bucks winning the championship as far as if they meet the Suns or the Clippers in the finals. It's looking like the Suns. So yeah, I do have the Bucks winning that chip. Black, now you can go.
I agree. I think that this is we kind of talked about it in the last round, but I think we will solidify the fact that Giannis Antetokounmpo is a superstar at this point. I think this will cement his legacy.
All right, we have to leave it there, fellas. We will see. We shall see. I mean, there's nothing more we can say. Black
Mark,
is
you're not feeling that, Mark.
Black is pro. He's pro. Freak, and Leak is not, and I'm not either. So
Lowy freak a leak, right?
Well, guys, we come to the close of today's show. We come to the close of the show, fellas. And speaking of Leak, this is his time to take over, and we're gonna pay hoop homage to a lucky team or player or wherever Leak wants to go with this, man. But before we check out of here, man, I want to thank everybody for watching this live, and also everyone who's watching the replay. Thank you. Do us a huge favor: like, comment, subscribe, click everything under this YouTube video. Every button, just press it, share this, and also head on over once you're done with that to Instagram. Follow us there. It's lit. We want you to be a part of the No Hesi community, man, because it's just lit over here. I mean, that's all I can really say about that. So without further ado, Leak, floor is yours.
I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you for throwing it to me. This week's hoop homage will not be Giannis, okay? I'm gonna make that plain and clear. So if all of you were out there hoping for Giannis clips, all right, you'll have to go to the other 100,000 YouTube channels that are promoting that, all right? This week's hoop homage is fitting on the topic, though. And we will get into this player. We've talked about him a little bit throughout the show. The guy has been off his rocker lately, but like Black said, we will not have any on-court Pippen slander. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the elite number 2 option, Scotty Harrell Pippen. Some of
get out of here, man.
Eating guys at the rim. Scottie Pippen did a lot of that. These are the top 10 plays of his career. I'm pretty sure we'll see some nice ones, including that dunk on Patrick Ewing, possibly.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And guys, I want to say this, man. Scotty was a lot of guys' favorite player too, man.
Yes.
And a lot of guys will cap and say that's not true, but you can just see it in their games.
Yep.
A lot of cats modeled their game after Scottie Pippen.
Right. I like a strong body perimeter player. That's kind of what Scotty. That's kind of the build, the mold that he represents.
Mm-hmm.
A la Kawhi Leonard, right? Where you can really flex on the other squad's perimeter.
That was a heck of a pass.
Yeah, that was nasty.
Yeah.
And a body too, right? Who is that? Brent Berry?
Oh.
That 3-man weave work into
Mark
Jacks.
Yeah, he just destroyed. Was
that
Travis
Mark Jack?
Best? I think that was Travis Best.
It was Travis Best.
Yeah, he was like Mark Jack's little like he was Mark Jack's like his sous chef. Oh yeah, here it goes. Oh no, okay, this is not it. Okay, I'm looking forward to Scotty on Ewing violence. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Oh yeah, when he pushed that man, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that'll come at some point. Yeah.
And Eliasman said about the Scotty years where MJ was in retirement.
Right.
Right.
Ooh.
About how he didn't do enough to. He was the best player on that team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the best player on that team. I mean, they just went against some tough competition on the East, man.
Right. I think Scotty was in MVP conversations that season.
Yeah, for sure. All-star MVP that year. He had the red sneaks when Cass wasn't even wearing,
That's right.
all red sneaks like that.
One of the best SIG kicks. One of the best SIG shoes in the 90s.
Hey, for as ridiculous as he sounds lately in these interviews, he had a high IQ on the court.
He did.
It was almost hoop savant levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, absolutely. Hey, and talk about a hard worker too, right? Scotty had that Arkansas mentality, right?
Yeah.
I believe.
Here we go.
Here we go. Violence.
Yeah.
This never
and it stood over the top of that man too.
Man.
And then went to
Spike
Spike
over the top of that man.
Right. And then went to Spike.
it told Spike to sit his tail down, right?
Man, that's iconic, man.
Oh man. So yeah, shout out to Scotty.
You see Oak. You see Oak lurking in the background.
Yeah. Shout out to Scotty, man. Yeah, absolutely. That was great. Thanks, Leak, man. We appreciate that.
Yep.
So, fellas, man, I'm gonna give you guys the final words, to close us out, and we're gonna get on up out of here. Black.
Hey, listen. We apologize for not being as present during the playoffs, man. A lot of things happening behind the scenes, though. So please stay tuned for that, man. We're just trying to make the show as successful as it possibly can be. So we thank you guys for bearing with us.
Leak.
Hey, I second that. The show is currently in a level up phase, so we're looking forward to giving y'all all the goodies that we have planned. So we appreciate y'all sticking with us. No Hesi will continue to go up, and the chat is coming with us. So we appreciate y'all tuning in, checking in. We'll look to be back next week. This series is going to close. These series are going to close, and we'll be in the finals form. So we're looking forward to you all seeing Black in his final form, right?
Yes, sir, man. Well, if there's nothing left, we up out of here, y'all. Till next time. Peace.